this lesson. My name is Jacob Kitoto from School of Hospitality, Travel and Tourism, Department of Hospitality Management. We are going to tackle the unit called Legal Aspects in Hospitality and Tourism. The unit code is BHT4208. Our topic for today, we are going to look at the restaurateur and the customer. Now, we are going to look at the introduction or discuss the relationship between the restaurant owner and the customer that involve in both civic and criminal liability. So, as you know, this is a law. So, we are going to look at the law that abides the customer and the owner of the restaurant at the time when the customer is within the establishment. So the customer normally enters into a contractual relationship with the restaurant owner where he or she is also owed to a duty of care. That means that the restaurant owner has a duty to take care of the customer once the customers enter into the premises of the restaurant. The objectives of today are, at the end of this lesson, the learner should be able to, one, understand the inherent contract arising from the sales of food and drinks in different outlets. Two, understand the specific law that regulate the sales of food and drink. Three, acquire knowledge on the criminal and civil liability that arise out of the relationship between the restaurateur and the customer. And finally, to appreciate the instances when the restaurateur may refuse food and drink to a traveler. So when talk about restaurateur, that simply means the restaurant owner. Now, let us look at the contract for the sale of food and drinks. We look at it in the form of formal restaurant. So in a formal restaurant with a waiter service, where the menu, whether posted or outside as attraction to the passerby or placed in the customer's hand, is merely an invitation to treat and has no legal effect. That means that once the customers enter into the restaurant premises, the customer will be offered a menu. So whether this menu is offered to the customer or the menu is displayed, the customer has not yet entered into the contract with the restaurant owner. So we just call that as a mere invitation. That means that it is just there for discussion so that the customer can check on what is available in the menu. So if it pleases the customer will now proceed with other processes. Two is that the menu is merely a preliminary to contract. When the customer selects an item from the menu, this amounts to an offer to the contract. So until the customer chooses an item from the menu, then now the contract will now start. So the customer will always be given a menu, look at it, and then the customer may choose to leave without choosing anything, or may opt to choose something, select something from the menu. If the selected item is unavailable, the waiter will apologize and therefore reject the customer's offer. In this case, no contract is formed and the customer cannot legally demand that particular item from the menu. So, as I said, that this is a law that binds the customer and the restaurant owner. So sometimes the customers might enter into the hotel or a restaurant and offered a menu. No, some customers, when they find something within the menu something is not within the menu, then they tend to feel very bad, and they tend to feel that their rights have been violated. So in this case, if a customer has selected something, but unfortunately the item is not within the menu, then, or is unavailable, then the waiter will just apologize and then do not take the offer because it is not available. In that case, the restaurant owner is not liable to the customer. So the customer cannot demand that he or she be served with that particular item. When it comes to self-service outlets are the outlets where customers select food from a display. These are premises where foods are displayed. The customer come and check. They are not given the menu because the food are already in the display. So the display itself is not an offer, but is an invitation to treat. If it is this food is displayed and the customer come to see the food, so it means that the display of the food is just but to welcome the customer or invite customer to make a decision so that they can negotiate with the owner if he or she wants or he doesn't want. Therefore, we don't call it as an offer. It is not an offer yet until the customer decides to pick something from the menu. The offer is made by the customer when they take a meal on a tray to the cash desk. That means that the offer now the offer will only be made once the customer has chosen to pick an item for payment, because before the customer picks an item, there is no offer. But once the customer picks an item, and then now there is an offer because he or she will have to pay for it. The customer offers to buy the food, and the cashier accepted to charge the customer. So that is an offer because now the customer has already accepted to buy the food, and the cashier will now also accept to receive the payment. The customer do not offer to purchase the food until they place it on the cash desk. They may therefore reject the food and return it to the display without breaking a contractual obligation with the restaurant. This is so it is the right of the customer to reject the food even if the customer has selected the food. He or she may decide to return it before the payment takes place, and the customer will not be liable because no contract has taken place. Fast food outlets, the price lists above the counter, for example, the price list above the counter in a fish and chip shop is merely an invitation. So any price list, not only the ones that I've mentioned, but any price list of any item is just but an invitation, as we said, that price lists, menus are just but invitation, which means they are there to attract customer, to welcome customer, to bring in the customer so that customer can go through and then they make their decisions regarding on the available and also the prices that are charged. The customer who asks for a certain item, for example, fish fillet and chip, is making an offer to contract. If you ask as a customer, you ask an item from the menu, then you are in the process of making a contract. You have not yet, the contract is not yet made, but you are in the process of entering into the contract with the restaurant owner. So the server may accept the offer and serve the food selected, or reject the offer by explaining that the kind of dish, for example, if it is fish, it is off the menu. So the owner, the server, will only accept the offer if the item, the food item that the customer has requested or has selected is available. But if the food is not available or that item is not available, then the server has the right to disown or to refuse the offer from the customer. So when the server is plating the food, selected, he or she is only performing the contract, and the customer is bound to pay. So if the server has accepted the offer from the customer, then the server will continue plating the food. Once the food is plated, then, which means the offer, the contract, the owner of the restaurant and the customers have already entered into the contract, and therefore the customer is bound to pay for the item that he or she has selected. Food, drugs, and chemical substances. So that is an act. We have Food, Drug, and Chemical Substance Act. That is CAP 254. This act has a provision for the sale of food under Section 6 and 7 of the Act. It offers an offense for restaurateur to 1. Okay. This act here has outlined some offenses for a restaurant to on several things. 1, sell food which is not of the nature, substance, or quality demanded by the customer. So, which means the restaurant owner will do an offense if he or she has given or sold food that are substandard. 2, prepare, package, convey, or display food for sale under unsanitary condition. And that is why, in most cases, when a customer enters into a restaurant, take food, and get food poisoned, then that kind of customer will be liable for what has happened to the customer. That is why the law requires that any food that is being prepared or packaged in a given restaurant, it must be prepared in a sanitary condition, must be prepared in hygienic conditions. Hotel and restaurant regulations. These are regulations. These regulations set the following minimum standards. 1, that adequate and natural lighting and permanent through ventilation or air conditioning to the satisfaction of the authority shall be provided in every room. If you go to any hotel or restaurant or any food establishment, the law requires that there must be a natural light, which means there must be some ventilation that brings in natural light, so that, and this natural light must be permanent, so that it is able, ventilation is able now to allow that circulations of air. 2, stairways, halls, and exits shall be kept lighted and unobstructed at all times. No restaurant is allowed to block any stairways. They must be left unblocked so that in case of anything like, for example, fire outbreak or any other incident, the customers are able to escape. So, restaurants are not allowed to block any stairways. 3, all rooms shall be of adequate size for their use. Every bedroom shall be provided a mirror, and shelf of adequate size. The room must meet the standard that is given. So a customer will have a right not to pay when he or she finds the room does not have adequate size as provided by the law, or the bedroom does not have items that is provided by the law. So if the customer fails or refuses to pay, then the owner of the restaurant will not take it anywhere as per by the law. That is why the customer has the right to have all the items that are specified in the law. Next is that a wash hand basin shall be provided in each bedroom to which a private bedroom is not attached. So hand basins must also be provided in each and every bedroom. The private bedroom must be provided so that it meets the requirements as provided by the law. So next is that all mattresses shall be inner sprung, form of rubber, or satisfactory equivalent. The customer has the right to question the kind of mattress that has been placed in his or her room. If the customer is not satisfied, then the customer has a right to demand his or her money to be given back. Next is that one dressing table shall be provided in every bedroom with at least one chair to each bed. The law requires that in each room, in each guest room, should have a table and with a chair in each bedroom. So failure to provide those ones, the customers are as a right to sue the owner of the hotel. Next is that mosquito net must be made available on demand. If a customer enter into the hotel and made a contract, then customer has the right to demand for the mosquito net. So in case you don't provide the mosquito net and the customer is harmed by the mosquito, the customer has the right to take the hotel to the court, and the hotel will pay the customer as per provided by the law. Fresh bed linen shall be applied at least twice a week for every new guest. The law requires that in any accommodation establishment, there must be clean bed sheets. And the bed sheet, if our guest stays there for more than a week, each week at least bed sheet must be changed twice a week. Twice a week. Failure to that, the guest has a right to demand. And next, a key of the bedroom or a suite shall be made available to the occupant of each bedroom suite. So you cannot deny the customers the key to his or her room. It must be made available to the customer so that he or she gets it when she or he wants it. Clothes hooks, clothes hangers, and wardrobes or hanging space for clothes shall be provided in each bedroom. These are items that are required by the law to provide the customer, and that is why you find that many customers or many owners of the hotels are being sued just because of few items that they fail to provide to the clients, and the clients keeps on complaining because these clients, they know the law, they know what the laws gives them. So if you fail to provide hangers, you fail to provide a wardrobe, you fail to provide hanging spaces within the rooms, then the customer has the right to even not to pay. Next is that drinking water shall be provided in the bedroom and bathroom at all times and shall be made available in all public rooms. So the guest has the right to be given water, and That is why you find that when you go to these big hotels, you will find always each room has been provided with water, so that the guest of that room will get that water when he or she requires it. Even if the guest doesn't require, that water must be provided at all the time. The ratio of bathrooms and separate water closets to the residents shall be at least 1 to 10. So bathrooms must be, the ratio must be considered. An efficient hot and cold water system shall be installed to serve every bedroom. Each bedroom must have cold water system and hot water system, so that if the guest requires cold water, he will get that cold water. If he or she requires hot water, then we will find that hot water. Every bedroom, including appropriately appointed shower, shall be equipped. One, with a secure door with fastening. 2, a towel rail, cloth hook, and a chair or a stool. So the law requires that every bedroom must be equipped with a door, a towel rail. A towel rail is where the guest put the towels before or during the time when he or she is taking bath. And then cloth hooks is where the client's hangs his clothes at the time when he or she is taking bath, and a chair or stool. Soiled towels and bath mats shall be replaced with freshly laundered towel and bath mats each day the guest occupies a room. There are some hotels whereby once they give a guest a towel, so despite the number of days that the guest will stay in the hotel, it doesn't matter, they will just leave the guest until the next guest comes is when they change the towel. The law requires that the towel, the mats must be, bath towel must be changed every day for each guest. So if a guest complains, they know why they are complaining. They know that they are within the law. So it is important that the owner of the hotel must comply with the law, because if he or she doesn't comply with the law, then the customer has the right to take him or her to the court of law. Soap shall be provided each day as required. It is upon the establishment to provide the client with the soap. Don't think or don't leave the customer to look for his or her own soap. So if every day you have to provide the customer with the soap, one extra roll or package of toilets, tissue, or in addition that in use shall be provided in each toilet, room, or bedroom. Tissue papers are supposed to be provided and must be provided to the guest. Furniture and shelves should be made of impermeable materials and finish. Furniture that is tables, chairs, and that, they must be made available to the client. The manager shall keep a supply of candles and approved candle holders, flashlights, and other auxiliary lighting devices, and supply them to the guest in case of failure. That it means the case of failure of power. So normally, the laws requires that once the guest is in the room, the guest must be provided with the candles or any flashlight that will enable the guest to the guest will use maybe when the power goes off. So in case of any power failure, the guest is able to use the flashlight or the candles. An adequate lounge space shall be provided for the residents within easy chairs, tables, and other appropriate finishing. Cutlery, condiments, sets, and table linen shall be of good standard, clean, not torn, and sufficient for the number of tables in use. Don't give your customers food with the cutleries or condiments that are outdated, meaning that maybe the cutlery has some rust. Cutlery, when we talk about cutlery, we are talking about on things like knives, we're talking about things on spoons and forks. Those are cutleries. So you must ensure that they are of good quality. They are clean, they have no stains, and also the tables are not cracked and of good furnishing. And next is that furnitures and shelves should be made of kitchen shall be maintained in a clean and wholesome manner. So even the kitchen itself where food is being prepared, the laws require that that kitchen must be clean. So, and the guest has the right to know whether the kitchen is clean or not clean. And then if they realize that the kitchen is not clean, they have the right to refuse to pay for the food or to eat the food. No person shall sleep in a room used for preparation, cooking, storage, or consumption of food. Don't take your clients to other rooms that may be used for preparation of food or storage of food, because you are violating the right of the customer. There shall be a supply of adequate ice cubes or cold drink for both residents and non-residents. There are customers who would like to have cold drinks. So, which means if they do, then you must make available ice so that in case they need, the ice are available for them. Every hotel shall be provided with adequate facilities for washing up, having both hot and cold water. Hotel must have both cold and hot water, so that both water is supposed to be used for washing in order to ensure that all items or equipment that they are using are free from any bacteria. Adequate food store shall be provided for dry store and perishable goods. So there must be adequate store. Refrigeration and cooling facilities shall be maintained for preservation of food. Refrigeration should also be provided and cooling facilities to maintain the preservation of food, so that if you have foods that need to be kept for a long time, you have those preservation facilities, those like cooling facilities and all that, so that your food can be preserved for a long time without contracting any bacteria. Next is that adequate toilet facilities for both sexes shall be provided in a restaurant. Don't only provide one toilet. The toilets must be two for both sexes and must be well labeled, ladies and gentle. That is something that is provided by the law. Water provided to guests shall be suitable for drinking. You must also make sure that the water that you provided is suitable for drinking. Don't provide dirty water that might cause any stomachache to the clients. Let us look at refusal or cancellation of hotel or restaurant license. So, this means that there are some circumstances that may lead to the cancellations of the hotel or restaurant license. So what are these circumstances? Now, a restaurant license can be cancelled or refused by the hotel and restaurant authority on the following accounts. So remember that there are some, as I said, that there are some instances whereby if authority comes to your place and then they can decide to cancel the license that you had already been given. What are these circumstances? At what time should they cancel? One, where it appears to the authority that the holder of the hotel manager's license is unfit to manage hotel. If the hotel manager is unfit, then the license will be withdrawn. Unfit means one does not conform with the regulation as per provided by the law. Two, do not have the knowledge of operation of the hotel or restaurant. Okay, next is where hotel or restaurant is being conducted in unclean or unsanitary manner. If the hotel is dirty, they don't clean, then this means that their license can be withdrawn. Next is that where hotel or restaurant a nuisance or annoyance to persons in the neighborhood. There are some hotels that are built where they are not, where it is not recommended for them. Then it becomes a nuisance to the neighborhood. Then, in that case, the law requires that the owner be given or be denied the license. Next is that where the food service in hotel or restaurant is not properly prepared, cooked or served. There are some hotels who do not have professional cooks or servers or waiters. So if the authority feels that this is not does not offer the services as per a standard set, then they will withdraw the license. Next is that where the hotel or restaurant has not fulfilled the licensing conditions, such as displaying the license in the reception, or when they may disregard the minister's order not to receive specific guests. So there are sometimes you find that at some point some hotel owners become ignorant of the law. You know, the license, you need to display it at all the time. If the authority comes and finds that you have not displayed it, they have the right to deny you or to withdraw the license from you. Or where the government has orders, not to receive a certain guest, and you go ahead of receiving that guest, then, which means you have defied the government orders, the government or the authority has the mandate to withdraw. For instance, right now, we are faced with COVID-19, whereby previously most of the hotels were told not to open. So, in case you are found operating, and the instruction is that you do not operate, they will withdraw their license from you and you will not operate. Similarly, bars have been told not to operate. If you are found operating at the hours that you are not told to operate, then they will also withdraw because you have defied the law. Number two, if a licensee fails to comply with the requirement of the notice given to him under Section 1, the authority may without prejudice to any liability of the part of the license to be prosecuted for an offense under the Act, will call upon the licensee to show cause why the license should not be suspended. So, this is similar to where your orders have been given and the licensee, that is the hotel owner, has defied the conditions that have been given. Then the authority may require or may call upon this person to show cause why they should not be given, they should not be withdrawn the license. If the reason given is not satisfactory, then the license shall be suspended. Refusing service to customers. At some point, the owner has the right to refuse service to the customer. So as much as the customer is right, the owner might be right at some point. So when is the owner has the right to refuse the service to the customer? The restaurateur has the right to refuse the service stem from the fact that it is the restaurant who has the control of the establishment, and he or she may seek to impose whatever standard. So we are saying that it is the customer who has, not the customer but the owner, who has the control of the restaurant. So you may feel that a given guest is not supposed to be given service as per the standard that is set. So this may come as a result of maybe poor dress. If you come into the restaurant poorly dressed, then the restaurateur or the restaurant owner has the right to deny you the service of a given item within the restaurant. For example, when the restaurant may refuse the customer to serve the customers, one, are the appearance. So when you come to the restaurant, when your appearance is not satisfactory, as I said, maybe you are dressed halfway naked, then the restaurant owner has the right to chase you away or to refuse to serve you whatever you want because you are unfit. You are in a fit state to be received within the restaurant. Two, the customer behavior. You know, there are sometimes customers who their behaviors is just cannot be condoned within the restaurant. One, if the customer is so violent to other customers or violent even to the owners, that one, the owner has the right to deny the service. Or if the customer is already drunk, you see, if the customer is already drunk, that means that the customer cannot take more drinks, as she will now go beyond what is required and start behaving in a way that will bring some commotion among other guests. So in this case, the customer has the right, the owner, that is, the owner of the restaurant has the right to refuse the service to the customer. So that is the end of our lesson 1. Thank you very much.
These televised lectures supplement our robust online learning going on our MKU online platform. You can view more on our televised lectures via our online platform. We are in a digital era, and Mount Kenya University knows this. The following are the steps to follow so as to complete your online application. Download the application form from the website www.mku.ac.ke. Attach copies of your academic certificates and ID. Pay the application fees via M-Pesa pay bill number 270988. Your ID is the account number. 2,000 shillings is the charge for a postgraduate. You can also deposit in the bank accounts provided on the website. Then email all the above to apply@mku.ac.ke.